We've been clear. If any Russian military forces move across...
Breaking news out of the Russia-Ukraine conflict this evening.
Major breaking news. President Biden, as you just saw, speaking on the Russia-Ukraine crisis right now as it's escalating big time by the hour. Our correspondents are on the scene in Ukraine, in Russia, here in the United States, covering all the growing threats of a war in Europe. Let's begin with our senior White House correspondent, Phil Mattingly. Phil, we just heard the president say that he's convinced that Putin has made up his mind, that he's going to invade. He says, in his words, this is from the President of the United States, he believes, we have reason to believe, he says, that an attack on Ukraine by Russia will happen, in his words, in the coming week, in the coming days. This is the first time he's said that Putin has actually made up his mind to invade Ukraine within the coming days.
Wolf, it's a significant statement that administration officials over the course of several weeks have been unwilling to make, either saying that they did not believe he had made up his mind or not wanting to comment on it at all. The president now explicitly saying that based on intelligence capabilities, the U.S. and he believes that President Putin has made up his mind to invade. And this gives you a window, Wolf, into what we've seen over a dramatic last 48 hours of top U.S. officials really around the globe making very clear that they believed an invasion was imminent, laying out in detail what they believe Russian plans are for that invasion, trying to essentially front-run anything that may happen. And it's in large part because there is a sincere belief, as the president just alluded to, that the U.S. believes President Putin has made that decision. Now, a couple other elements that stood out from the president's remarks right there. The point that he was trying to make up top with his decision to call into the bipartisan delegation of members of Congress that are at the Munich Security Conference now as well.
Russian forces are planning to and intend to attack Ukraine in the coming week, in the coming days. We believe that they will target Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, a city of 2.8 million innocent people. We're calling out Russia's plans loudly and repeatedly, not because we want a conflict, but because we're doing everything in our power to remove any reason that Russia may give to justify invading Ukraine and prevent them from moving. Make no mistake, if Russia pursues its plans, it will be responsible for a catastrophic and needless war of choice. The United States and our allies are prepared to defend every inch of NATO territory from any threat to our collective security.
So that everyone can see for themselves what is happening. We've shared what we know and what we're doing about it. Let me be equally clear about what we are not doing. The United States and NATO are not a threat to Russia. Ukraine is not threatening Russia. Neither the U.S. nor NATO have missiles in Ukraine. We do not have plans to put them there as well. We're not targeting the people of Russia. We do not seek to destabilize Russia. To the citizens of Russia, you are not our enemy. And I do not believe you want a bloody, destructive war against Ukraine, a country and a people with whom you share such deep ties of family, history, and culture. 77 years ago, our people fought and sacrificed side by side to end the worst war in history. World War II was a war of necessity. But if Russia attacks Ukraine, it would be a war of choice, or a war without cause or reason. I say these things not to provoke, but to speak the truth, because the truth matters. Accountability matters. If Russia does invade in the days and weeks ahead, the human cost for Ukraine will be immense. And the strategic cost for Russia will also be immense. If Russia attacks Ukraine, it'll be met with overwhelming international condemnation. The world will not forget that Russia chose needless death and destruction. Invading Ukraine will prove to be a self-inflicted wound. The United States and our allies and partners will respond decisively. The West is united and galvanized. Today, our NATO allies and the alliance is as unified and determined as it has.
I don't believe it's a bluff. I think it's. I think he's assembled the right the kinds of things that you would need to conduct a successful invasion. So.
He's got things like medical tents and nurses. You would never have seen that if you were going to be withdrawing your troops.
Exactly. If they were redeploying to garrison, we wouldn't be seeing the kinds of things in terms of not only combat power, but also logistical support, medical support, combat aviation that we've seen in the region.
Listing some of the things that we've witnessed on these satellite images, the medical hospitals, for one, that are part of the forces along the Ukrainian border. Martha with us tonight. And Martha, I know that you were asking that question because many at home have been wondering, too, could Vladimir Putin be bluffing, as part of this strategy? But Secretary Austin made it very clear that he doesn't believe Putin would go to these lengths unless he was actually planning something.
Exactly, David. And you have to remember that Lloyd Austin was a lifelong soldier, a career soldier. He has been in war. He has seen war up close. And he was just flabbergasted at the thought that anyone would build up those troops, would have those medical supplies, would have plasma there if they didn't intend to go in. David?
Vladimir Putin, the Russian leader, just recognized separatist areas of Ukraine as independent, escalating fears of an imminent war. The U.S. is warning that Russia could launch an extremely violent invasion in the coming hours amid new information that Kremlin forces have a kill list of Ukrainians to target if they attack. CNN is on the scene in Russia, Ukraine, here in the United States as this crisis unfolds this hour. We want to welcome our viewers here in the United States and around the world. I'm Wolf Blitzer. This is a Situation Room special report.
This is CNN Breaking News.
And let's get to the breaking news. Major reaction unfolding right now to the new developments from the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. Our senior international correspondent Matthew Chance is on the scene for us. Matthew, Putin's move today, a dramatic, powerful move, escalating concerns of an imminent Russian invasion.
They certainly are, Wolf, and in fact there are dramatic developments taking place tonight because within the past few minutes the Kremlin has said that it's ordered the Russian Defense Ministry to, quote, maintain peace in those Ukrainian rebel republics, potentially paving the way for Russian forces to roll in. It all comes after Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, made that stunning announcement earlier today to recognise those two republics, plunging this region into an even deeper crisis.
This dangerous standoff with Ukraine, signing a presidential decree that would unilaterally redraw Ukraine's borders and set back any prospects of diplomacy.
I consider it necessary to make a long overdue decision to immediately recognize the independence and sovereignty of the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic.
For years, those self-styled rebel republics, backed by Moscow, have been the focus of Ukraine's bitter civil war. A peace deal called the Minsk Agreement was meant to end the fighting and reintegrate the breakaway regions into Ukraine. Now Russia and the entire region is on a war footing once again. And President Putin, who has massed tens of thousands of Russian troops near Ukraine's borders, has made it clear there will be no quarter given if the government of Ukraine attempts to resist.
And from those who seized and hold power in Kyiv, we demand an immediate cessation of hostilities. Otherwise, all responsibility for the possible...
From the bottom of my heart, President Putin, stop your troops from attacking the Ukraine. Give peace a chance. Too many people have already died.